Hi, my name is Philip, and I'm going to be doing a review of this ice barrel cold plunge. And then at the end, I'm also going to fill this bad boy up with some ice and do a cold plunge in it. So what I'd like to do is go through kind of the pros and cons of this particular cold plunge and share my thoughts around the cold plunge versus some others that I've used, not owned personally. But this cold plunge, so I'll start with the pros. This cold plunge, as you can see, it's very portable. It's also very slender. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space. It's very tall. It's not very wide. I mean, you know, I'll stand in front of it here. As you can tell, it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, which is nice. When it's not filled with water, it's not super heavy. I think it's somewhere in the range of 20 to 40 pounds, which means you can lift it fairly easily. A little awkward just because of the size, but it's very portable. So if you wanted to take the water out of this, take it somewhere else, move it, it's not hard to do, unlike some of the other ones that are very large, very heavy. They have those coolers, the water circulators. That can be a problem. The pro for this, first pro would be the size. Secondly, you know, I did look at some other cold plunges that were inflatable. I ended up returning it right away, not even using it, because I thought to myself, you know, how am I going to keep the water clean, or am I going to have to literally empty and refill this inflatable tub, which was pretty large, every single time I use it? I'm a larger guy. I'm 6'2", about 205, 210 pounds. So there's not a lot of cold plunges that you can buy on Amazon or wherever for cheap that I would fit into, or that I would want to use, or like I said, continue to empty and refill all the time. This is great because you can literally leave the water in here for, I read online, a month, 6 weeks, somewhere in that range. You can buy from Ice Barrel a cleaning kit, so that comes with this solution that you pour into the water to help make it, help maintain it, keep it cleaner for longer. So that's another positive of it. Again, it comes with some other cool stuff. You see the step stool here, comes with the Ice Barrel, which we'll come back to as one of my cons for this particular cold plunge. It's fairly difficult to get in and out of. Also comes with this tarp, you know, sun protection cover. So I live here in Reno, Nevada. The sun rises in that direction and sets over there. So this area of my house, I don't have a shade structure, pergola, or anything like that. This area of my house gets quite a lot of sun throughout the day. We are in the middle of summer, it's July. So I'll tell you, I checked, you know, the water, and this will be one of the cons. So I checked the water temperature earlier today. Literally the water temperature on the surface level was 100 degrees. And the water down below was a little bit cooler, but one of the things that the Ice Barrel comes with is this thermometer. So what I did was I emptied the water out probably about halfway, just to get some cooler water from my hose into the tub. And as of right now, we're sitting at 62 degrees. Now that is after putting 3 16-pound bags of ice in this after filling it up. The ice is already melted, and if you want to come over here, you can show. So the water temperature prior to putting the ice in was about 74 degrees. So I put the 3 bags of ice in, and it's already melted. But again, the nice thing is this structure is solid. It's not going anywhere. It comes with this cover so that when you are not using it, there's nothing that's going to get into it. It's not going to get dirty. What I'll do, I'll move on to the cons now. So one of the cons is going to be price point right out the gate. You know, this tub I think was 11 or 1200 bucks. That is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. However, again, it allows for you to have kind of a set structural cold plunge rather than an inflatable one, which takes a lot of time to fill up, tear down, a lot of water waste. You're gonna have to buy ice every single time. In the wintertime, this will maintain water and the water temperature will be cold. So in the wintertime, this will be great to have. I won't be spending as much money on ice, but the con for a lot of folks will be price point because it's not the cheapest cold plunge out there. Another con, like I said earlier, is getting in and out of this tub. So, you know, I'm 6'2", getting in and out of the tub for me, even with longer legs, is difficult. Now, I will actually go back and say one of the pros is the size inside the tub. You know, I can get in the tub, as you'll see in a minute, sit down and have the water cover my shoulders and feel comfortable in there. I don't feel like I'm, you know, too enclosed or claustrophobic in there with my knees scrunched up against my stomach. So that is one of the pros, is that it is actually fairly large. But again, con would be that it is difficult to get in and out of, especially, you know, being that it's a cold plunge, getting out of it when you're real cold, your muscles aren't working as well as they normally do, you're a little tight, so getting in and out of it can be a little bit difficult. One of the other cons, I would say it's a pro and a con, right? You have the ability to let the water out at the bottom, which is great, because what happens is when you fill it with ice, you're going to end up needing to let some water out so that you can continue to fill it with ice and not have it overflow. But as you can see, placement's going to be a big deal. So when you have the cold plunge where I have it, you see you get this little pond here. It does connect to a hose, and I try to put the hose out to the side yard so that it goes down the hill. But you know, the water, if it's not moving directly downhill, it's not going to come out very quickly. So overall, I really do enjoy it. I've only had it for a short period of time, but I really do like the ice barrel. Again, it's a set structure. I don't have to worry about it. I throw the tarp over it. I don't have to empty the water every time I want to use it. In the wintertime, I'll be very grateful to have this. In the summertime, you know, I've got seven 16-pound bags of ice that I bought today, totaling like $42 here in Reno. So that's not cheap to do a cold plunge. So my wife and I will be doing a cold plunge together. But ultimately, I really do enjoy the ice barrel. So what I'm going to do now, Hannah, is your finger covering the... What I'm going to do now, I'll fill it up with some ice to see how cold this bad boy gets, and then we'll take a dunk. So all in all, it's going to be 112 pounds of ice. So hopefully this thing will get nice and cool. Ice is sitting nice on top here. Definitely cool in there. All right, we'll jump on in here. As you can see, the water was a little bit too high with all this ice in here, but we'll just let it overflow. Hey, Philip again. I am about a minute into this ice bath. It's pretty freaking cold, but as you can see, again, I fit fairly well, and I'm not even all the way in. I could get lower. I just don't want the water to overflow anymore. But like I said in the previous section of the video, I'm 6'2", about 205, 210 pounds, and here I am, you know, sitting in this thing, and again, I'm not at all feeling claustrophobic in here. It's fitting, you know, the size is great, honestly. And as you can see, one of the other pros of this ice barrel, as I'm struggling to talk because it's so cold, is the view. It's hard to have other ice tubs, especially the more expensive ones that need circulation and, you know, can't get overheated. It's hard to have those here outside where you have this type of view. So that's one of the other pros of this ice barrel.